This is me. I'm Darryl, a young adult born and raised to immigrant parents in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. For those of you out there who are like me, you'll understand when I say that we had a lot of expectations placed on us as kids. For one, our career choices were predetermined. Our parents often wanted us to become either a doctor, a nurse, an engineer, a lawyer, you know, the usual. If you weren't headed in that direction, then they would compare you to some other kid who did. I didn't want to become any of these. For me, filmmaking was my passion. As a result, my mom got it in her head that I should become a movie star. I mean, look at this guy. Fame, however, wasn't really interesting to me. I preferred being behind the camera, either directing or producing. My friends here in the city are also in similar situations. They're second-generation immigrants who are also dealing with rigid expectations while figuring out their own identities. I interviewed 6 of them to discuss how their family relationships has impacted the way they're building their careers. We also discussed their personal struggles as well as their definition of success. You'll see how some of them meet their parents' expectations, while others are simply managing them.
I'm Caroline. My full name is Maria-Lorraine Rada. I am a nurse, clinician. I specialize in neurology and neurosurgical patients. And I am Filipino.
My name is Gerald Nino. I'm from Montreal, Canada. I am a photographer, DJ, and co-founder of the Painted Ones.
My name is Laura. It's a short part of my name. My actual name is Maria-Lorraine. My parents are from the Philippines. My occupation is I am an audio engineer, singer-songwriter, top liner. It just encapsulates a lot. And I was born in Montreal, Quebec.
My name is Youssef, Batnjana. I am originally from Syria and Lebanon. I work as a full-time electrical engineer.
My name is Mikael Romulus. I was born and raised here. My parents are from Haiti.
My name is Mohamed. I'm 24 years old. I'm Egyptian. I study in finance and I also take care of my family's business.
Fortunately, growing up in Uptown and in the street of Plamondon, there's definitely a lot of Filipinos out there, and so we all went to Saint Pascal.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it was hard to make friends because we had a common thing, which was Filipino culture. What I've seen throughout my childhood is they're very hardworking in terms of working in the labor force, and I think that kind of translated into me having to work hard and in school. The mindset or what they thought was the clear path to success is education. Because I feel a lot of times when the immigrants come here, it's all about survival.
So the thing is for me is that, I'm born here in Montreal, and then I lived 5 years in Vancouver, British Columbia. And then over there's not as many Lebanese, Syrian. So I got accustomed more to the Canadian mentality. My sister's born there, and then we moved back to Montreal. And then when we moved back to Montreal, that's when the culture shock hit me kind of, because it's here there's much more of the Arab community. And then when it came to education, it was study first, and then everything else second. And you agree with me? So
Traditions, they don't really come to mind, right? It was more of a natural phenomenon. We don't really know what tradition until we grow up, right? And growing up in a Filipino household, you're so used to being, having pansit for parties. You're used to having a tabo for baiting. As you get older, you understand what tradition is, and that's, I don't know, as a youngin, you don't really realize what's happening. Before eating, we have the grace, obviously, and But then with time, obviously you lose touch with religion because you have a life of your own. Oh, primary, the only thing I had was not being around my mom. That was like the hardest thing. So because I was around my mom almost every single day, then to moving forward to not seeing her every day, I think I didn't really adapt properly to it. Basketball was a big thing too, so that was so easy to do and easy to make friends. I was an introvert, but I was okay with socializing and making friends. It wasn't too bad.
Growing up, I was in a very close community, immigrant community, so either Haitian or Asians, Arabs. So I never felt like I was an outsider. I really felt it later on when I grew up, when real life hit me. Yeah, that's when but when I was a kid, I was very innocent. I didn't know that. I felt like I was like anyone else. Like, so when I was in elementary, but when I started being a teenager, that's when I really started to understand that I'm not really part of what I thought I was. I used to not to bring my lunchbox because I felt like people would be judging me of what I eat. So I used to take like some change that I found in my home and in my house, and I used to buy lunch. There's a student that said, "Oh my God, what's your food?" Since that day, I never bought my food, my lunchbox ever again. So
As an immigrant, I don't think that was really relevant in terms of my surroundings, the people that I hung out with. I don't think that it had any sort of impact with school friends and stuff. But I could definitely say that the thing that kind of made me a little bit more of an outcast is enjoying anime. My parents, I wouldn't call them strict, but they really wanted me to be disciplined. In high school, I started to not draw as much, or even I would never complete a drawing, and they were noticing it, and they were giving me hints to maybe try to, get back into it and be a little more serious about it. So that's all they wanted.
I think they really wanted to be traditional. Like, my dad really wanted me to go to church every Sunday, to Catholic church every Sunday, to finish catechism and things like that. But I don't know if they knew how to be traditional, because all they knew all their lives was to work. My dad very much showed me the art side of it. Like, he was always encouraging of me singing, but not really always encouraging on becoming a singer. My mom really wanted me to just be successful. Integrating, in terms of being an immigrant, it wasn't very hard where I grew up, because I grew up in Batnjana. A lot of immigrants there. There was a point where I did musical theater. Journalists came to talk about how good music programs were going to be for immigrants coming into the high school. When they interviewed me, I didn't really speak French very well at the time. They didn't take me the right way. They didn't understand quite what I was saying, and when I tried to correct it, they weren't really receptive to it about what I want to say. But also, this is the reason I learned French well. Welcome to my home.
So you write music, right?
Yeah, I write music. Yes, I write music for myself. I write music for others.
What kind of music do you write?
R&B, but also depends on what genre the artist is looking for usually.
What's your inspiration for the things you write? Is it personal experiences? You live through other people? What is it?
It's very much personal experiences. A lot of the time, I don't really feel like I can write unless I feel it completely, and a lot of the time it's my inspiration. It just comes out more natural that way.
Do you feel intimidated by the writing process? Is it very vulnerable when you're writing? Do you feel like...
I don't feel intimidated by the writing process more than I feel intimidated by what people will think of my emotions, because I have a lot of them.
You perform with a band? You perform alone?
When I perform, especially long sets, I prefer to perform with a band. I love my band, the Earth Tones.
Okay,
Shout out.
Where'd you meet them?
I met them in high school. I met a couple of them in high school. Kyla, Berto, and Ben I met in high school. So that's the drummer, the guitarist, and the bassist. We were a couple of us in a jazz group together, and we did a couple of gigs throughout high school. It was for other colleges' graduations and stuff. It was awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So is that the genre you're going for, R&B, jazz? That's your...
Yeah, because I studied not because I studied in it, because I played it for so long and did gigs in it for so long, it became kind of second nature to sing in jazz. But I have been listening to R&B my whole life.
Baby bubbles like to show some brown skin. She bite back, hold snack, and she know it's like that. Bones big, baby bubbles like the shoes on brown skin. I bounce back, you're whack if you ain't know it's like that. Let's get it.
My dad takes education really seriously, like #1 priority. And I think up until maybe like Sec 4 or something, he wouldn't let me do homework without like his supervision. He was like, oh, what do you have today? Oh, I have math. Okay, come show me the, even if he can't help me, he just wants to be like, you know, I'm still like your parent. Whereas my mom, it was kind of like, you know, you do you, try to like experience the world and meet new people. And then if you need anything, you know, I'm always here for you.
For my mom, she's my best friend, right? So, because she came here when she was young, she came here when she was in her 20s. So she really understands like the Western culture. So it's very easy to talk to her and not be shy about if I have any issues, I go talk to her. But on the other hand, my dad is very traditional, very like Egyptian minded, very hard. It is what it is.
Yeah, you love him all the same.
Exactly, I love him so much. Even though we butt heads every day, almost every day. Yeah.
What is the main like source of conflict between you and your father? Was it?
It's business. It's all about business.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I work with my dad all the time. When it comes to like, we finish work here and then we go home and we start talking about work.
So this is my family's business, Restaurant Le Canal. We're very known here in the West Island for our seafood. I've been working here for like 8 years. It's a family restaurant, so it gets hard when you work in a family restaurant.
So what do you do here?
I do pretty much everything. Here it's really, you gotta manage it, you gotta wash dishes, you gotta cook, you gotta serve people. This is a part of being an owner of a business.
My dad especially, him and the Philippines are tight. Like he loves the Philippines to the max, and he brought that to me that like where you're coming from is so important, and you can never lose touch with the past. So he used to tell me stories all the time about like his family, his grandpa's parents. He used to tell me even until this day, I ask him questions about it. So there was never a gap, and until this day, like I understood why he acts such a way, why my mom is this way as well, and it's because of their upbringing in the Philippines. And they try to not discipline me in a bad way, but they did discipline me, but it was remix of what they've been disciplined in the Philippines, and they add their kind of the Western taste.
Hey guys, welcome to Sunday Studios. Let me show you around. We got plants for your day. We got maybe 100 fake plants. We got real ones, we got fake ones, we got every kind here.
So do you use this studio for actual shoots, or you just manage it?
I do both. I manage it, I take pictures, take videos. Sometimes I sleep here. So a lot of photo shoots happen here, a lot of video shoots happen here, a lot of TV shows, a lot of basically everything. Québécois, aucune idée. My bad, I can't disclose the full info about what's happening here, but things happen out here.
This is the first out of 2, right?
Yeah, so this is called the greenhouse. We have another one down the hall called Studio Blanc. So now we're going to get into the Studio Blanc, my favorite studio.
Welcome.
Do you mind shutting off the lights real quick? things happen here. People mostly shoot like product stuff because we have the kitchen here, we got sinks, and the contrast if you use it for products, it's really, really amazing. Products stand out more here. We try not to do music videos because of the echo too. And interviews and podcasts, they don't really happen here, but most of them happen the other side just because, I mean, you can hear it, the echo. But it's super aesthetic, one of the most aesthetic studios in Montreal. It's a quiet and peaceful place.
There were a lot of points where I was like, why don't you be a nurse? Why don't you be a flight attendant? Or why don't you go, you know, she was giving me a bunch of things, but I knew she wanted to do these things. Like, because she had given up on herself because she felt like she had to give up on her dreams. My mom really wanted me to be in psychology when I finished high school. But I had gotten a scholarship in music. She wasn't very supportive. My parents didn't have enough money to give me for college or anything like that. So I ended up like auditioning for a music program at Vanier. It was classical music, and I had done my interviews and I had done my audition, and they had offered me a scholarship. My final year of high school, I was in the hospital for stomach problems, and I couldn't finish my French class. So because I didn't do well enough in French, I had to take it during the summer, and I was removed my scholarship. After that, I just got really discouraged, and my mom just said, like, I told her about the scholarship, and she was like, but what about psychology? I just got discouraged, and I ended up going into psychology for a while. But when I got into university, I got into honors in psychology. So I've proven it to myself and to you guys, to my entire family, that I was able to get into honors psychology. So I'm smart enough to be able to get there. Now I want to make music, and I can just go back into that path if I need to go back, or if I want to go back into that path, because I do have a love for psychology, but I know that music is my calling.
I felt like they wanted me to be like either a doctor, engineer, or a lawyer, like the basic like immigrant thinking of to be successful you have to be those type of jobs, right? But growing up, and especially when I started going to university, that's when I really understood that it's not about this. They really want me to be successful, in my own way.
Do you think you found your passion? Do you find like what you actually love doing, or you're still like trying to figure that out?
Well, while working here in the restaurant, it's been 8 years now I work in this business. So I feel like I think I found my passion while doing it, because I grew up doing it, and it's something that very interests me, like whatever it's business or restaurants or whatever.
So you like managing it, or you like working for it?
Honestly, like I have enough working in it. I would like to manage it, hopefully one day. But to become a business owner, you got to do everything. So it's part of the plan.
Fair enough.
Like I said, they take education really seriously, so they want me to do like the best I can. And then at the end of the day, you know how like their mentality is like, oh, you know, you're the man of the house, so you're gonna have to be paying for the house and whatever, paying for the kids and the wife and the whatever. So it's like you can't slack off.
It's very traditional then.
Very traditional, yeah.
Okay. So growing up, in terms of like, you felt like you had a lot of pressure put on you?
Yeah, for sure. Like, because I had the chance to have my dad pay my whole education from like high school all the way till university. I didn't pay anything, but it came with a price. If your grades drop a bit, you called in his little office and why did your grade go down by 5% or whatever?
But how'd you deal with it in terms of like growing up and like trying to figure out your own interests? Like,
it was hard at the beginning, but then at the end of the day, I was like, you know what, like, you know, I'm doing the best I can, and like I'm getting good grades. You know, it's like you're not gonna get straight A's your whole 15 years of post-secondary or whatever. When I was in high school, it was mostly like, oh, I gotta make my parents proud.
Okay,
I need to get a good grade.
Okay,
I need to get my parents proud. And then when I started into CEGEP and I realized like, oh, I want to become an engineer and everything, I was like, no, I want to get good grades because I want to get into this field. So it kind of shifted the mentality.
So you actually enjoyed what you're doing right now?
Yeah, 100%.
What inspired me to be an artist, to continue being an artist, is it's being me. I think that's what it is. I felt so comfortable being behind a camera, and something about it that when I hold it, I feel so sane, and there's nothing that could ever bother me. Same thing as DJing, for example. When I'm behind the booth playing music, there's no one else that could bother me. And me and the DJs, the tables were one. So I didn't have like a plan of who, like the artist I am today, but I knew I wanted to exceed my own expectations. I was too shy as an artist, and the moment that the turning point is like I started talking to people, I started chasing stuff I wanted to take pictures of. For example, artists, athletes, and I was able to reach out those goals in such a short time. And DJing as well. I wouldn't even be expecting to be DJing in the top clubs in Montreal, and that to me is like crazy. But what led me to those moments, because I was myself. I was talking to people. I was connecting. For me, it's telling a story. I think every picture I take has if you look at it, I want you to be like, whoa. I want you to think about my pictures. Whether it be portraits, whether it be a street photography, whether it be an event, I want you guys to have that whoa moment. Even when I DJ too, when I play music, I want to have people be like, oh, this guy is nice with it. I want them to have like a memorable moment. There we go.
Like, there's a lot of healthcare burnout, and I knew what I was going into. Like, going to nursing, I know I guess the pay's great. But then I thought that, like, okay, I'm the only child. My parents will be depending on me at some point. Me working my back and breaking my back at the hospital, it doesn't sit right with me. Then I started like reading into like financial books. Like I've been hearing about side hustles, entrepreneurship. And I think towards the end of my year in university, that's when I started like looking into it more. So I started reading like A Rich Dad Poor Dad and other books that kind of helped my mindset into going into entrepreneurship. And so that's why I kind of started different side hustles like Kara's Big Sushi Primo and a last extension course that I took because I felt like maybe if it's interesting and I have an interest in it and maybe there's potential to make money, then sure.
What was your high school's moment like? Who's Caroline High School?
Who's Caroline High School? Caroline would be the one who would be breaking down after a math class and starts hysterically laughing and crying at the same time because she's having a panic attack. I took like my education so seriously because I felt like I'm not the brightest, that's why I have to work so hard and that I have to show that to my teachers. Like I knew a lot of people, but I felt like I was like kind of alone. Not a lone wolf, like I'd hang out with people, but I didn't have like a group.
Here's a darker question. What was the darkest moment in your life? Or like the moment you felt like you kind of were lost in your way?
Yeah, so I would say the darkest moment in my life was probably when I started college, like in CEGEP. I went to this predominantly white, like Québécois de souche CEGEP. Everybody knew each other previously because this CEGEP was also a high school. So they all knew each other. They all had like the same background, the same, activities, hobbies and everything. I don't know anybody because nobody from my high school went to this CEGEP, and I felt like kind of an outcast. Nobody really wanted to like get to know me. And when they did, it was kind of like fake. So I felt like kind of on the side and
Going back to CEGEP, I'm not an A+ student. I gotta review like countless of times and repeat a lot of things so many times for things to stick. It was actually my last semester in CEGEP, and it's like you have to pass that so then you can do your licensing exam. I actually had passed one exam barely. We had a total of 3 exams. Second exam, I did so bad. My overall average was already like I wasn't passing. I had to hit a certain grade to pass my whole like CJ. I think at that point, that's when I'm starting to be like, Carol, like, man, like, do you have it in you? Like, start questioning like my potential, like, am I like smart enough and stuff.
When COVID hit, that's when they started to have a shortage of workers, closing down the dining area, so we only worked with takeout. And that's when I felt like I had a huge responsibility because workers started to leave because they were scared of COVID.
Well, I think this is a big part of who I am now. I think the lowest part of my life would have to be, I had a stalker who was my friend, and I really trusted this friend before he had become that person to me. Having that distrust in people after that, and distrust in the friends that I had at that time who hadn't protected me or hadn't said anything while it was happening, when they knew it was happening, really hurt. Yeah, it was the darkest point in my life, and it made me, I used to go out a lot, actually. I used to be the kind of person that stayed out late hours of the night, that was the first to be at the party if you told me you had one. But because of that experience with someone I trusted who had become someone I couldn't trust anymore and made me feel very scared of going outside, it just made me see the world a little differently and made me not want to trust people or let people in.
Me being gay and me discovering what that implied and, you know, what that could mean for my future and all that stuff. And most of that happened in high school, which is another thing that kind of made everything much more complicated, you know? At the time, you know, say Sec 3, I didn't really make the connection between what being gay really was and me not having that same attraction to girls, which most other teens of my age seem to have. I didn't make the connection. I felt like to make up for that, I had to excel a little bit more, that I had to be a little more like kind of by the books and not stray away from what my parents would want. Coming out to my mom was really difficult, not because that specifically was bad. I mean, I was kind of going through a bit of a heartbreak. I was feeling like I was not allowed to have what other people could have in terms of, you know, romantically.
I could say I almost OD'd.
Okay.
And I went to the hospital, and there's things I saw and things I felt that I don't want to go back to. And I think that was one of my darkest moments as an artist, because prior to that moment, I was indulging like alcohol and drugs because I wanted to find that stimulation as an artist again, you know? Because as an artist, we always look for that high. Yeah. And I was looking for it in different ways. And unfortunately, I took the path that put me in a terrible, terrible mindset. Yeah. And yeah, like that was probably one of my darkest moments. And after leaving the hospital, I realized there's something that like I have to be the artist I want to become. And if I don't fulfill that in my way and at my pace, I don't think I'll be happy with myself.
One of my issues, I try to ignore it, but because I ignore it and I keep ignoring, at the end, I just explode. Like, I'm still trying to figure out how to deal with it.
A lot of that comes back to, like, you know, your mindset. You having those negative thoughts, doubting yourself, it won't get you anywhere. All of that kind of made me realize that, like, failures, yes, they're normal to have. You're supposed to have them to learn and to grow from them and come out, like, stronger.
I always think about this a lot, like what is the idea of success? I think for me, it's just to inspire people. I want to like push that and give that sort of inspiration to other people who are sort of, they feel like they're stuck. Hopefully one day I get to inspire people to sort of go past their fears and go chase it. Be smart about it, understand how the game works. I'll either push through or sort of find a way to maneuver it. This is a puzzle that needs to be figured out, and I'll be the one to figure it out. That's like the idea I'm trying to like project.
For me, success is like I have a good group of friends that I can call family, you know, and I have a job, a stable job where I'm getting paid well. I'm working the job that I've always wanted to work. So for me, that's success, but I mean, there's always room to grow.
I feel like for me, success is just being happy, being satisfied with yourself. Because I'll be honest, and maybe it's cliche, but like money doesn't buy happiness. For me, happiness is very with your family, with your friends, with yourself, especially with yourself.
I think that's a great question because I've been thinking about what success is all the time, but I feel like being at peace is what success is. Being peace of mind for me, it's what success is. And waking up feeling fulfilled, I think that's what it is. I don't think there's such thing as monetary because you could keep going as monetary. You could go from $1 to $1 billion, up to you, you know? But to me, being successful is being at peace.
I think success is for some people it's money, for some people it's having the good job, for some people it's having a house, but what happens after that? Like, my goal is to be surrounded by people that only make me better, by whether or not that means that they call me out on things that I do wrong, because that makes me a better person and that helps me treat them better and other people around me better.
Well, as an artist, I want to basically recreate the things that I love. I want to be able to create things that make other people feel the way that I felt about the things that I love. There are specific stories that I would like to tell. There are movies that I would like to make, big sci-fi. In the end, I just want to make more of what I like.
Honestly, it's simple. It's having time for my friends and my family in the long future, having them experience the experiences that they want in life, like traveling. It's a newfound passion of mine, like traveling. Not having to worry about finances per se.
What regrets do I really have? I'd say I don't really regret anything. I feel like everything that happens in life happens for a reason, and if you don't go through the pitfalls and the difficult periods of your life, you don't learn lessons. And I mean, one of my interviewees was saying a quote: "You don't lose in life, you just learn." And I believe that is very true.
Yeah, well, the thing is like here in Canada, to be an engineer, you need a bachelor's, so you have to do a 4-year program. So you can't do like a technique and then change and whatever. I don't know if I would change anything. Probably not, because like at the end result, I'm working the job that I want to work, and like I really love the job. Maybe I'd go out more, because it was mostly like, oh, I need to study, I need to do this, or whatever. Like, I mean, like at the end of the day, I got the job. It's like maybe I would have gone out a bit more than. I mean, I'm catching up now.
What would I change? I feel like if I didn't have that turning point of almost dying, I don't think I'll stop doing drugs. I'll stop drinking alcohol. Like, I've been clean off weed for almost more than 2 years. Weed, in a way, it helped me focus on my work. It helped me focus on editing, but the thing is, I was so dependent on it, and I didn't like it, so I completely stopped. Like, I didn't need it. I didn't need it anymore.
No regrets.
No regrets?
No regrets.
Not even small.
Well, opportunities come and go, right? I feel like there's always a reason to everything in this life, and I feel like if you regret, you're never gonna move forward. My cousin told me in life, you never lose, you learn, and that's a motto I've since the beginning. I very take it to heart.
So, I mean, I think about that stuff all the time. I wish I could have hung out with certain people a little earlier. Like in high school, there are some people who I always thought were pretty cool, but I was kind of intimidated by them a little bit because they were the cool kid. I wish I could just like be more at ease with people, be a little more social, not exactly go from complete introvert to extrovert. Be more keen to have like some random interactions.
It'd be nice to go and change the things. Like, I'd like to change, that I was very bubbly and very like close to people. And sometimes I regret being that way, but sometimes I tell myself, how could I have known? So like, I want to cut my old self some slack for how she was treating others, because she was just treating others with love. She was just trying to show love to everybody in the same way she shows love to everybody. So I don't think I could take that back, and I think that the person that I am now is built from what I've learned from that.
So, to inspire, is that why you made this documentary?
Yes, that was one of the reasons. We're looking on what's on the market right now. I don't really see like points of view from our perspective. So like, we always talk about immigration. We always see people we always talk about people who migrated, right? We always talk about the parents. We always talk about the newcomers and their experiences from their old world, and then what their experience is like when in a new world. But a lot of people nowadays were first generation or even second generation immigrants. So we never have like those discussions of like, what does it feel like to sort of basically be the pioneer? It's like for me growing up, I couldn't rely on my mom to solve math problems or to help me with my homework or to understand the language, because they don't know anything. All they do is work. They don't understand the language. They're just following the system. I feel like a lot of people like me have a lot to say, but they don't really have an outlet to do so. So that was one reason for me making this documentary. The second one, yes, is also to inspire. A lot of people go through a lot of hard things. Unfortunately, a lot of people I've interviewed went through a lot of dark things along the way in their lives. And I like to see the way these people overcome those dark things. And I like to show like the progression of like how they went from this scared person. Eventually they grew up and understood that who cares what other people think? It's really what you think about yourself. The idea of the documentary is to show other people, look, there are people like you who are from everywhere. We're all in the same boat together. We're all going through struggles together, but there's a light in the end of the tunnel, and we should all strive to reach it instead of like focusing on all the dark stuff. Everything's internal. So if everyone sort of understands that idea, at the end of the day, you're responsible for your journey. I think that there's more people who'll be inspired to do things that, well, they will love to do.
You asked a lot of people about their darkest moments.
Yeah.
What would be yours? What would be your greatest struggles?
I think my greatest struggle, I remember exactly when, it was between 17 and 19. CIGEP was the sort of the waking up call where, okay, this is where you're stepping into your career. You got to figure out who you are. So I was like, growing up, I was like, I'll be a scientist. I always loved physics. I always loved astrophysics. I wanted to explore the world. So I got in my first year of CIGEP, horrible at math. In the second year, I got kind of lost the interest. And then third year, I was really not interested. It just turned me off, and I felt like I was super depressed. I was doing something I did not like. So I didn't really have any self-esteem. I was kind of just like depressed. I didn't really have any motivation. So like, I feel like I was comparing myself the most during that time. And I wasn't looking introspectively, I was looking outside, like, oh, look, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's doing this. And so I feel like a lot of people during that time also had that sort of experience, right?
And what do you think changed?
One day I realized, I was thinking about it. I was like, I told myself, okay, let's start slow, okay? Because like, I haven't done anything. And I kind of like woke up one day and said, you know what? University is coming soon. Let's have this be the pivoting point of our life. So I made myself a promise. I said, let's finish this. Let's finish science right now. Get our degree, and then afterwards, let's find something that we love. So that was like an inner promise to myself. So I was like, okay, you know what? Whatever. So like during that process, during that time, I was trying to figure out what do I like, and that was kind of like the pivoting point where I figured out what my passion was, which was filmmaking.
What is your relation to these people? How did you make your selection to interview each of them?
Well, I mean, I grew up with these people, so they were classmates of mine, either from primary, high school, or university. So I got to meet all these people through school. My selection process was mostly who could have an interesting story. So I basically asked people who I knew had a lot of things to say, and they wanted to talk about stuff because we would talk about it privately. I wanted people who had actual who I knew I had actual trouble growing up and had a sort of a story arc to their story. Initially, it's not pre-planned. I didn't I know exactly what's gonna happen. It's very much like who could be interesting enough and who's willing enough to talk to the public, I guess, about their own personal lives, and also how could this be sort of interesting in terms of arc and in terms of narration, right? That was a very major component in selecting. I wanted people who were dynamic, who had a lot of things to say, who had interesting backgrounds, but also people who I knew could trust me with this thing. I wanted to also help them promote whatever they're working on.
was so hard.
Say your shout outs, promote your projects, promote your say whatever you want.
I
know, right?
Singles are coming out. I don't think I'm doing an EP anymore because, you know, it just keeps going up and down. I'm just gonna give you guys the music, and so that I can move on to new music.
All right, plug your Instagram.
My Instagram is Laura Kida, LORRAKIDA. I audio engineer for Radio Capua, which is on the radio, on CKUT 90.3 FM every Wednesday from 2 to 3. Centre Capua. Shout out. Benny Mestizo, shout out. Zay, Isaiah, shout out. All of my boys from RAC, because I went to RAC for school, and the teachers at RAC, big love.
Yeah, there's customers right now. I just want to say, if you want to eat the best food you ever ate in your life, come at Restaurant Le Canal, 4945 Boulevard Saint-Jean. Amazing seafood. If you love seafood, you just gotta come and we'll treat you like a king or a queen or whatever.
I want to shout out All Star Studio. I want to shout out La Section Barbershop. Tune in to Painted Ones, YouTube, Instagram. We'll be dropping a lot of interviews, a lot of projects, and a lot of parties, and a lot of clothes soon. I want to shout out to my mom, my dad. Shout out to my girlfriend.
So, check the camera, promote it. Sign off. So for my art, for my drawings, you could follow me at Mike Romulan. Romulan is ROMULAN. For my photography, for my cinematography, DP stuff, you can follow me at Mike Cinemascoped. And so if you need like a concept artist, a storyboard artist, I'm the guy, and I'm always happy to help.
Follow me on my Instagram, joe.bet, and I also do tutoring on the side, so message me.
Shout out to my parents. Mommy, you're the best, bestie. Obviously my friends, you guys know who you are. I'm not saying all the names, but you guys know who you are.
You gonna list them up?
Linda, thank you. I think you've helped me a lot in CJEP, and you inspire me a lot to become a better person and to believe in myself. My family, I know you guys are there and you guys always been supportive. And Carol's Bake Sushi, if ever you guys want a taste of that.
Yes, I'll put in the link then.
And yeah, shout out to the Neuro.
Feeling good, looking good, ready for tonight. Know these ladies out here looking oh so right. Cause it's that kind of night. Yeah. No stress, have fun and free your mind. No drama tonight, time to unwind. Cause it's that kind of night. You ready? Yeah. Living it up, everybody's out living it up. It's all love from the room, bartender, fill me up. I need a refill. I came to go make a move. Somebody's here in the same mood. Yeah, the atmosphere is right to find some company tonight. You coming with me, baby? It's that kind of night. It's that kind of night. Not gonna press my luck, but I'm feeling lucky tonight. Yeah. Don't care about your son, cause I like what's already inside. Cause it's that kind of night. Yeah. Now I'm trying to figure out the next line to the song. Yeah. Cause girl, you blow my mind, you got it going on. Cause it's that kind of night.